Hi, I'm Jim and this is Jim's Fix-It Shop. Today we're going to take some more stuff off this snapper. Now, I can show you this little box here. I have stripped all of the wiring off of the machine. I didn't do that on camera because every machine is different. The newer your machine is, the more of this crap you're going to have on it. When I put it all back on, I will go in detail of describing what it does and how to wire it back up. I took off, some of the wires were a little frayed and I wanted to replace them. I took the solenoid off and I've got a mess here. The interlock modem, I took that off. Now this is different from most. Let me grab an old one. Kind of misspoke on that last one. This is what the older ones look like. They were round, they look like they filled them full of tar. They have a few wires sticking out of them. And the newer style looks like this. It's just a flat, kind of a rectangular box, and that's the little jewel right there that they're like, last time I priced one of these they were almost 60 bucks. I don't know what one of these sell for, but I've got a bunch of stuff here. That's your interlock module. Called it the wrong part there a minute ago. Tonight I want to take off the front end off this machine. Now I had a lot of comments like, why are you taking that off? What are you doing with this? You're just going to have to watch and find out. Like I said, I'm going to bring this machine back to as new condition. I'm going to replace everything and anything that I think looks bad or is worn, including these bearings. Now these bearings are in pretty good shape. They look clean, they rotate good, but I'm going to put the new style in, which is right here. They're a better bearing than these cheap ones that they use. And one thing I've noticed on this snapper, and that's the reason why these pilot bearings rust up so bad on you and get frozen, is they just about completely assemble this thing and paint it. They don't paint individual pieces so that you get paint in an area where you can't see it, but it's going to get moisture or water in it and it's going to rust up and freeze on you. That's one big problem with the way they manufacture these. There's one thing I do want to show you. This is a recoil off my engine. I had a comment, why did you take that off just to put it back on when you pulled the engine? Well, I haven't put it back on yet. There's a couple things I want to mention to you. A lot of these are metal. See, this one's sticking. Got dogs sticking out right there. They should both come out when you pull the rope, and they should both go back in. One thing you want to look for, I pull the rope all the way out, and you can pull it back through the pulley where they have the knot tied. You want to check this rope to see if it's frayed. So it's a lot easier to replace it when you have it all the way out, and you can put a clamp on here to keep this from turning, and you can just pull the rope out and replace it. Once the rope breaks and that thing whips back in there and unwinds the spring, it's a big pain in the butt. Another place you're going to notice a lot of wear is in the first couple of inches where it goes back into the housing. So check your rope out, make sure it's okay. So we want to take this thing apart. I want to take the front end off, and I want to take the steering wheel off. And I have a trick to pass on to you to show you how to get that off without bending anything. And what you want to use, this is a Craftsman 7/32 punch, but this punch is made for roll pins. Most punches are flat on the end, and when you try to get it on that roll pin, it wants to move around. This has a boss sticking out that fits inside of the roll pin and guides it. So all your impact or pressure, whatever you want to call it, is going directly on the roll pin and not on the side of the hole and mushrooming your hole all up. Mushrooming, something like that. Oh, we're going to need that. Now, to drive that pin out of there, I've tried it before with that steering wheel just hanging. Not a good idea. You can bend something, or the biggest problem with that is all of your force, the shock from the hammer, is going into the steering shaft flexing. You want to hold that stationary so when you pound on it, all the all the shock goes into the pin and doesn't stress out anything around it. Now let me show you what I did with that. Okay, I took a piece of 2x6 because that's what I had laying around. You can use a 2x4. I don't know if you want to use a 1x4. They kind of flex a little. You want something rigid. And I put it up against the side of the wheel right here on this boss, and I drew a line on this 2x6. As you can notice, it's on an angle. I threw it over on the bandsaw and I cut it off. Then I drilled a clearance hole so the pin can go somewheres when I'm driving it out. So the next thing we want to do is to get this wheel to turn 90 degrees, which it won't. You got to pull the tie rods. Okay, we got a box here to throw all these parts in. I already straightened out the cotter keys. I didn't think you wanted to watch me straighten cotter keys. But we're going to pull them out. We're going to take the tires off. Like I said, these bearings look in excellent condition. Grab a rag here. I want to wipe off this kingpin. This machine did not get much use at all. There's absolutely no wear at all on that kingpin from them old bearings, which is really nice. Now let's take the other side off. Looks to be the same on this side. Nice shape. And again, no paint. Ooh, that's really nice. Now we can take off these, pull the tie rods off. Again, you'll notice underneath these washers, no paint. So I'm thinking they pretty much completely assemble this machine before they do any painting on it, which is really a poor practice as far as I'm concerned. Now the tie rod bushings, they don't look too bad. This one's in really good shape. This one's a little rusty from the metal because no paint. I think I'm going to replace all the bushings in the front end regardless, just because most of the time you can get a deal if you buy a kit. I'm going to pull these snap rings off the top that hold the kingpins in. That's certainly tight. I went over and got some handyman's helper. I can't say it's WD-40 because somebody will get mad. Still don't want to come out of there very good. I don't think I've ever had one this tight a fit. And them don't look too bad, but I think I'll replace them anyway. Top one's in pretty good shape. Now let's see if it's like pulling teeth to get this other one off. Usually the hardest part's getting the snapper ring off. It's not going to be any easier. Good night. I might have to pound that out of there. I guess we'll go to the steering wheel. Okay, let's, I guess I better move you guys over here. Now, once you got the tie rods loose and off, your steering wheel will turn more than 90 degrees. And that's what you need. Spin that around to get that snap ring out of there. Kind of line it up with the clearance hole you put in the end of the board and drive the pin out. And there she goes. Now, if some of you aren't familiar with what they call a roll pin, they actually make them by rolling a piece of spring steel. And they roll it in a larger diameter than the hole that you're going to drive it into. And that's why it stays in the hole. But you can see the crack on the side, and that's what the roll pin looks like. And this punch fits right into the end of it, and you can't really even make it come off of there. These again are Craftsman punches. The number on this one is a 42215, and that's a 7/32 punch. I don't know about where you guys live, but up here in Michigan, a lot of our Sears stores have closed. So there's a lot of places that are picking up Craftsman tools and selling them, like Lowe's, Menards, Home Depot, they all sell them. Now usually to get these wheels off, you have to pull and twist. This one is going to come right off. No rust at all in there. Well, very little. And again, no paint. But one of the viewers contacted me, and he told me to a little trick that he found out, and I'm going to pass it on. These rectangular steering wheels, if you notice, if you look directly at it, the boss for the shaft is offset on the steering wheel. And this little nameplate in here snaps right out, and it will go in either way. So if you can't move your seat back far enough and the steering wheel is still in your way, get this aim straight. This is the way it's on the machine. You sit back here. You can turn the wheel around and put it back on. It'll give you more clearance, and you can snap your nameplate back in the correct way so it reads properly. It'll still say Snapper. Cute little trick one of my viewers sent me, and I thought that was pretty interesting because I'm really tall, I've got long legs, and I'm always banging that steering wheel with my knees, especially trying to get on and off it. So that little trick of spinning the wheel around, I may put it on the other way when I'm done. Now to get this steering shaft out, there's a trick to that too that a viewer told me. If you, I don't think you can see up in here. Let me get the camera. I'm going to hold this thing by hand and try to show you up in here. This one doesn't look bad, but it's hard to get to this cotter key to straighten it to pull it out because it's almost as long as what the hole is. Now, seeing I got the tie rods unhooked, that won't be too much of a problem. But what he told me you can do is down here on the bottom of your steering shaft, there's another cotter key right here. If you pull that one first, your steering shaft will go up about 3 inches, and this will come out of the hole so you can straighten it out and pull it out. Now again on this one, not much wear. This is a nice machine. I have no movement at all on this steering shaft. On the top, the bottom, you can hear it rattling. So the bottom bushing will replace. Even if I didn't think it needed replacing, we're going to pull this out anyway, just to see what it looks like. And I get a lot of questions like, well, why did you do that? You didn't have to. You're going to have to watch the whole series to find out why I did that. Again, that's a tight fit, and it doesn't want to even come out. Guess I'll get some WD-40, and oh, I mean my handyman's helper, can't say any names. My other handyman helper, rubber mallet. Sometimes you just have to persuade things to do what you want them to do. And again, it's a little rusty. And this one is battered up so bad it won't even turn or come off. So we'll definitely replace the bottom one. I'm going to have to pull that out with a screwdriver. Because when you buy the bottom one, they come in a set. The big bang was my temporary welding booth so I can get some practice in on welding. Now I've got all the wires off this thing except the ones that go through the tube. Them are still there. And I'm going to drop the cable through from the top down because it's still hooked up down at the bottom, and we'll go through unhooking that when I get to that point. There. Now we can pull the tube out and check the pilot bushing. This has a little movement, but what I found that even a brand new one will move the same. Apparently they're just not a real tight fit, and you're going to have that movement regardless if it's new or a little worn. Okay, to pull these tubes out, what I usually do is I unbolt this plate if the machine has one. And this plate is what captures the clamp that goes around the tube. Now I don't like to loosen that clamp up and slide it up and down the tube, especially on a machine that looks this good or on a customer's machine. Take that key out. I just hate to scratch the paint all up needlessly. And a lot of these machines, they have parts on them where you can do this and you don't have to mess with that clamp. And again, no paint. Very rusty. Some of these parts, when I go to put it back together, I'll probably put some paint on it, especially if it's on the back side where you're not going to see it, because I'm not going to repaint this whole machine. It's in too good a shape, and my past experience with rebuilding and painting a machine to make it look like factory new, I hate to use it. And this is going to be my primary machine when I get it done this spring, and we're going to be using this for everything. So let's pull this tube out of here. Hopefully the wires won't catch anything when we pull it out. That looks pretty rusty. Well, it's half froze up. I cannot budge the pilot bushing. It's froze to the shaft. Luckily, it didn't freeze inside the tube on the rear case. Well, we got that last kingpin out, and just like the other one, you can see where it just started to shine the shaft, but there is no indentation at all on there, no groove. This again is in really good shape. When I put it back together, it's going to be all new parts. Before I get any more ripped off of this thing, what's left on here, I want to take it down and clean it up at the car wash, get some of this grease and stuff off it. I want to show you one other part down in here that's really hard to see. Now this is the belt guide I was talking about in the last video that you probably couldn't see very well. And this is what it's shaped like. It keeps the belt from coming off the back pulley under the engine. This long part, or the funny bent part, whatever you want to call it, that goes towards the differential. if you put it on this way, which someone did, one of my viewers got a hold of me and said, Jim, I put a brand new belt on my machine and with 10 minutes it's tore the belt up beyond use. What's going on? Well, you can see the difference from where the bolts are for the amount of clearance you have when you turn this one way or the other. That belt was coming down at this angle, going around this, back out and around the motor pulley. It just couldn't, it was rubbing this way too much. So if you take these off, make sure you put this funny end that's bent towards the differential, not the other tire. I got the nuts and stuff I'm going to stick back on these bolts, and we're just going to leave this off because we're going to end up taking it off anyway. Might as well do it now. So we're pretty much going to completely strip this machine. Everything. When I put it back together with the new parts, we'll do it a little more in depth and we'll show you exactly how everything goes together and why and how it works. If you're not sure how these things work, let me know, and I have a video on my model that's a cutaway that shows all the parts in the drivetrain, how they work, and what function they serve. I guess we could pull the tires off this thing and get it ready to be cleaned. Okay, let's get these bolts off. It's going to be a little noisy. So that's that. Now, I bet you're all wondering if these plates are, I'm at a loss, I can't think of what they're called. Wheel flangers are going to come off. And if you notice, this is all painted, yeah, when it was assembled. Now usually you have to bang that with a hammer to get it break loose. Now I like to, or I should say I always leave the nut on the shaft so you're not beating on the threads on the end of the bolt. Okay, what do you think? It's gonna come right off? Maybe not. Yep, it's sliding off. And it's pretty rusty under there. Now, a big problem we have with these machines, I get a lot of calls on, is Jim, I was mowing across my yard and it stopped. Won't go forward, won't go backwards. First thing you want to check is that bolt that I just took off. If you shear that bolt off and it falls out, this flange is going to spin on the axle and you're going to make the differential think that you're going around a corner. And it's going to put all the power to this side that's slipping. You're just going to sit there. I've seen these things, guys have sent me pictures of these wheel flanges where they have broke in line with this hole. And this piece came right off. The wheel flange slid up away from the bolt and it spun free. And you just sit there. Always check that first. Let's see if we can get this side off. These have so much paint on them that normally it's a 1/2 inch nut. I had to go get a number 13 metric to get that one off because it had so much paint on it from when they painted this thing. Once you tap that loose and knock the taper out of the hole, it's going to want to slip and you can't get the nut off. Because these are self-locking nuts. They're going to come off hard all the way. You know, they always say there's one in every crowd that's going to give you a problem. What do you think? I got to hold that shaft. Let me grab this punch. I'll hold that shaft from turning when I try to wiggle this off. Well, that one come off nice. The reason that one's not rusty is because you can tell, looking at this, that the seal is bad and it's been leaking oil. So the leaking oil has helped lubricate this joint so it'll come apart. Now, I think the rest of it we'll take to the car wash and clean it up so I don't get so dirty every time. Now, I try to prepare a little bit and do these ahead of time. This week I'm doing pretty good. This is Monday night. I'm going to upload this Thursday and you'll be able to watch it probably Thursday morning, because Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday I'm going to be in Frankenmuth, Michigan for Winterfest 2019. We've been going for, I don't know, 16, 17 years. We found it, we stumbled on it by accident, and it's an awesome thing to watch. These high school kids, let's see, there's junior high, high school, college, and then there's competition that's international, and they come from all over for, I don't know what kind of prize money they give away, but there's, last year they had people from Peru and Mexico and Netherlands that just come from all over. I don't know where they practice snow sculptures in Peru, because I'm not sure if they even get snow over there, do they? I don't know. Geography wasn't my big subject in school. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll shoot some footage at Snowfest and try to upload that and see what it looks like. I don't know. But we're going to take this to car wash this week and blow it off so it's a little cleaner, seeing it was -6 here last night and the water froze out to the building. So I'm going to have to sneak in the house all greasy and try to use the sink in the bathroom. So until next time, work safe, have fun. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. So long.